All right, y'all, the time has finally came. I caved. We're doing the mixing tutorial today, so let's get into it. My name is Devin. I also go by Infinite or Prod by Infinite, and today I'm gonna show y'all how I mix West Coast beats. Now let's get it. All right, so rule number one, you have to have good samples. It's real easy to take something that sounds good and make it sound great than it is to take something that sounds like dokey, you feel me, and make it sound good. So with that being said, really take the time to invest into good drum kits and good VSTs and good one shots, because having good sounds is the foundation of mixing. All right, so let's get into it. This is how I mix my claps and my hi-hats. When it comes to claps, I usually try to make sure that it's within like the -3 to -6 dB range. As you can see, this clap is hitting within that range, so all good. Now, if you feel like your claps are lacking, some of the things that you could do is use Fruity Fast Distortion or any other type of distortion plugin to really like boost everything up and make it more full. So with this clap, I already think it sounds good, but just for demonstration purposes, I can show y'all what it sounds like with the distortion. So this is the clap by itself, and then here's the clap with the distortion. You know what I mean? Real subtle, but it makes it more full and makes it a little bit more like crispy too. And then for the hi-hats, I really just apply the same rules that I do for the claps. But if I feel like they're lacking, I do try to use like a distortion, or what you could do is use Fresh Air, which is a free plugin. This really just makes things like more crispy. It really raises the high end of everything that you use it on. So for instance, this is what the hi-hats sound like with no effects on them. But if you want to like turn things up a little bit, what you could do is you could use the Fresh Air. I mean, we can just do it with the effects. Now what I would do is I would take those lower note hi-hats and I would like turn down the velocity a little bit, because that was a little OD, I ain't gonna lie. And then if you can't download Fresh Air for some reason, you can always just take a regular EQ and then get the same results. You just take the 7, just turn it back a little bit, and then just kind of boost it up until it sounds to how you want it to sound. Now for kicks, I do absolutely nothing. All I do is I just take them and I turn the velocity all the way up, and that's it. I don't do anything else to my kicks. But if for some reason your kicks ain't hitting it for some reason, they ain't cutting it, you can't get jiggy with the kicks for some reason, bro, what you could do is take like a Fruity Wave Shaper. I guess you could do that. Okay, kicks hitting, it's cool, it's cool, it's cool. And then as you can see, the Fruity Wave Shaper is like beefing it up, make it hit harder. And by the way, this kick is in my Foundation drum kit, which is a free drum kit, by the way. So there's no excuses for having your kicks be lacking, bro. Next time I do a beat critique and I listen to y'all beats, I better not hear no kicks lacking, bro. So the Foundation drum kit is gonna be the first link in the bio. And then for the 808s, I usually don't do too much to them, but I will show you a couple things that you could do to your 808s so you know how to make them sound how you want to sound. Now for 808s, I usually just take the velocity, raise them all up, and usually, for the most part, if you have really good sounding 808s, that will be enough for them. You know what I mean? But if you don't like how your 808s are hitting, some of the things that you could do is, if you're in FL Studio, you can go to the pre-computed effects, and then you can put up the boost knob if you feel like it ain't hitting hard enough, or you can use this EQ knob. So if you go to the right, it'll boost up the low end. If you go to the left, it'll boost up the high end. I mean, makes it hit harder, more low end, everything like that. And then if all else fails with your 808s, you can always rely on the Fruity Wave Shaper. And then the Fruity Wave Shaper is usually my favorite way of going about mixing 808s, just because I feel like it just makes it hit more clean, because it doesn't allow it to like really clip over like that. So if you look at like the mixer channel, you know what I mean, it's staying under 0. You know what I mean? It's staying under 0 dB, just kind of like how a soft clipper would. But if we kind of like take the other route, when it goes to like boosting these and stuff like that, you can see it's completely way over. That's hitting like 20 dB. You feel me? Now let's get on to melodies. Now, giving general mixing tips for melodies is really hard because there's such a big array of different sounding melodies and different things that you would need to do to them. But for the most part, these are the key effects that you need for melodies: EQ, reverb, delay. Now, if you feel like two different melodies are kind of like clashing together and they're really like competing for the same space on the frequency spectrum, this is something that you can do for that. So when I come across that issue, these are a couple of things that I like to do. So first, what I'll do is a little bit of panning. Doesn't really matter which way you pan it, you just have to make sure you're panning them in opposite directions. So for instance, here's the piano, here's the pad. See how it feels kind of cluttered? So I'll take the piano, I'll pan to the left a little bit, take the pad, pan to the right a little bit. See how that kind of already solved the issue a little bit? Now, if you really want to go a step further, what you could do is you could EQ both of them. So the EQ on the right is going to be for the pad, and the EQ on the left is going to be for the piano. So if I play them both at the same time, you can see that they're really sharing the same space, like this little mid frequency range right here. So like from the 4 to the 5, the piano is very prominent, and then the 3 to the 4, the pad is really prominent. So what I would do is I would go to the piano and I would put a little duck where the pad is most prominent. You know what I mean? And then I would go over to the pad and I would put a duck where the piano is most prominent. And that way they're able to kind of like glue together a little bit better. And here's the last tip that I'm gonna give y'all for the video. Trust your ears. All these mixing tips and mixing rules and everything like that are just suggestions. You have to remember that hip hop is a culture that has thrived off of breaking the rules. So I remember going back into like a music class right when I first started, and I remember them telling me that like clipping is bad, it's terrible, it's horrible, you're never supposed to have things clipped. But now in 2021 in hip hop, clipping is like essential for your 808s. You feel me? Clipping is like cool. It's like what the cool kids do. You feel me? So when it comes to these mixing rules and tips and everything like that, they're all suggestions. Take everything with a grain of salt, bro. Trust your ears. If you do a rule that I told you, or if you did a rule that someone else told you and it doesn't sound good, break the rule. It doesn't matter, bro. Look, break the rule. It don't matter, bro. Like, trust me. Like, at the end of the day, you just have to make sure everything slaps and everything sounds good to you. Trust your own ears, bro. Now, with that being said, my name is Devin. I also go by Infinite or Pop by Infinite. And let me put my glasses back on. Peace out.